Perfect.
Camera.
Progress happens very fast. Innovation technologies emerge, new discoveries, new information. That's why the skills that were useful a few decades ago currently lose their relevance in the context of rapid changes. That's why today we are talking about skills and professions that will be useful in the nearest future. We will have with us the founder of Israeli Silicon Valley, investor and founder and general director of OurCrowd, Jonathan MEDVED, general director of Microsoft Kazakhstan, Sergey LESCHENKO, and the global head of University Alliances, SAP, Katharina SCHAFER. The moderator will be the expert in the field of education, the general director of BDS Education, Sayasat Nurbek.
Хайырлы таң, қадірлі достар, добрый день, уважаемые друзья.
Good afternoon, dear guests. Welcome to the last day of our Nobel Fest. Today, we will continue our discussion. We will talk about the skills of the future. We have a very interesting panel of experts, which represents the industry. We're not going to have academia and university representatives today, but we will be listening to people who hire us, people that encounter multiple startups and companies, and they know what skills and competences and values that are important to become successful in our turbulent and rapidly changing world.
Конкурентоспособности и позволяют молодым людям
and allow young people and not only to find new horizons for development and to develop new points of growth and to continue to improve our world. And I would like to give the floor to the first speaker, Mr. Jonathan MEDVED, who is one of the communicators, integrators, venture capitalists, and not only. And designs developed by Mr. Jonathan, OurCrowd is considered one of the successful platforms to attract investments not only in venture industry, but also private equity and classic investments. And this platform is valued very high by its opportunity to integrate huge number of players in this field, investors, to find very successful projects and startups, to create a culture of investing and to make long-term relations between different teams and investors.
Considered one of the most influential venture capitalists, but not only as the investor, but also as a great integrator, great communicator, who was able to build a community, not only in Israel, but in many other countries. And of course, Israel is the platform you built, the OurCrowd, serves as a breakthrough project in private equity and not only venture capital investor relations, building a platform that communicates, that gathers around a lot of stakeholders. A good friend of mine, Jacob Yakidayan, he's a big name in EdTech industry, and coming from EdTech, I visited Israel several times, and he was telling me, so my first non-physical introduction to you was through Yakidayan, Jacob Yakidayan. He said, oh, we have that great guy who started it all. But our today's topic is skills of the future. Through your vast experience in assessing lots and lots of teams and looking into which skills, which qualities, which values, which competencies make things happen, lay the foundation of long-term growth of successful companies. Can you please share your experience? Tell us a little bit about OurCrowd, the founding principles of OurCrowd, but also if you could give us your insights on skills that matter, skills that make things happen, skills that a lot of the audiences that are listening to you today, the younger people, the young generation, should be focusing on to make sustainable career moves, to to keep their competitive edge as long as possible. John, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's delightful to be here, and I hope soon to be able to spend more time in Central Asia. At OurCrowd, we are a global investment platform for startups. We started in Israel. We have obviously a very fertile and exciting ecosystem in Israel. This year, there will be about $22 billion invested in Israeli startups. That's up from $10 billion last year. So things are just booming. We'd love to invite all of your listeners to join us for the OurCrowd Summit in May 25th. We're going to be back. It's going to be outside, good weather, COVID friendly, God willing. And we really are interested in building stronger ties with Central Asia. And I really want to salute and congratulate the organizers of this fine event. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you here today. What I would like to say about values and skills, I would like to do it with three things. I think that you need passion, you need resilience, and you need reinvention. And those are, with those three, you can go a long way. There's lots of others, but if you have passion, you have reinvention, and you have resilience, I think you're going to be in a good position. So first of all, I'm assuming that you're smart. I'm assuming that you're educated, either by yourself or formally. I'm assuming you've got, experience in some kind of a discipline. It might not be the area that you're starting a company in. I myself grew up studying history, and my first startup was in fiber optic communications in the 1980s. And I taught myself optics and system design. My next startup was in multilingual software. I then became a venture capitalist. No one taught me that. And then I became a mobile software entrepreneur, invented something that looks a lot like TikTok, but about 15 years too early, took it public in New York. So the element which is most important is passion. Okay, if you are bored or apathetic or sort of just placid, everything is calm, it's not going to work. You're not going to raise money. You're not going to be able to recruit people. You're not going to be able to get both investors and customers to join you. Now, it doesn't mean you have to be a showman. It doesn't mean you have to be the world's greatest speaker, but there has to be some fire in your heart and in your belly and in your head, and that fire has to be palpable. You have to be able to experience it. So passion, number one. Number two is the ability to be resilient, okay? What is resilience? Resilience means that you're going to be knocked down, you're going to be punched, you're going to be in trouble, your market's going to change on you, your competitors are going to get there first, people are going to betray you, there's going to be all kinds of bad things that happen on the way. That's life. Okay, life, I think, is a huge blessing, a wonderful thing, but there are bad things that happen. The question is, how do you respond to them? What do you do? Do you get up and continue fighting? Do you lie down? Do you run away? In my country, it's very strange. When now things are very, very tranquil and calm relatively, but we have people who fire missiles at us. What do? We knock them out of the air. We develop systems to protect ourselves. What do we do when we hear, God forbid, a bomb in the street? Do we run away? No, we run towards it to help people. Our country represents resilience, represents the ability to continue to survive and to thrive despite challenges, to turn curses into blessings. We don't have water in our country, we become water technologists. We don't have a market, we go global. We don't have natural resources, certainly the way that countries like Kazakhstan has. Guess what? We develop human resources. So that resilience is critical. And then finally, the most, I think, important element is the ability to do reinvention. Because in today, most companies have to go through a pivot. When you start a startup, you know, you're going to have a certain direction, and then all of a sudden you're going to say, oops, that's not exactly the direction I want. I need plan B or plan C. And so you have to be flexible, creative, analytical enough to reinvent the company. And you need to be able to do that in today's world with yourself. Everybody has to continue being educated. You can't get old, okay? In other words, yes, we're going to get old. Look at my hair, okay? I'm already, you know, getting gray, but I don't feel old. I will never let myself feel old, because that need to reinvent yourself constantly, to constantly stay ahead of the game, to look forward, is really, really critical. A part of it is realizing that life itself is very short, right? We don't have long. It's precious. It's the only truly limited resource. There's always more money. There's always, you know, more customers or more engineers, but time, sorry, that's all you got. It's a fixed amount, and you have to use it intelligently, and you have to be willing to take risks. And the biggest risk is to reinvent, and to constantly reinvent yourself and your company and be willing to move forward. Those are some initial thoughts.
Well, thank you, John. Thank you. I mean, to summarize John's words, and it's mostly soft skills. I'd say it's more existential skills, life skills. Stay young, stay hungry, stay passionate, constantly evolve, constantly reinvent yourself, and be resilient. Life is not a bed of roses. So you have to withstand the blows, rise and rise again, and move forward and push forward. Thank you, John. Well, our next speaker is Sergey LESCHENKO. He's country director for Microsoft Kazakhstan. And Sergey, there's a particular question to you. Microsoft and all those big boys, big corporations, Google, we have Meta now, they've rebranded themselves to Facebook, the Amazon. They seem to be not satisfied with formal education anymore. And your company in particularly, you've bought LinkedIn, right? And there's this huge professional social media. And then the Lynda, combined with lynda.com, the Microsoft launched the LinkedIn Learning Certificate. So basically what we see, a huge revolution happening, which would potentially create a supranational education standard. So as we see it, if you look at education, in the last 200 years, it's been developing as national curricula, a national standard system. So we had national standards and curricula of Kazakhstan, of Russia, Germany, and there were processes like Bologna process in trying to synchronize, creating the credit systems, diploma accreditation systems, and so on and so forth. But now we see there's an attempt to create kind of a supranational certification and education programs, like what Microsoft is doing with LinkedIn and Lynda, the LinkedIn Learning Certificate. So what exactly are the priorities for Microsoft in terms of skills and upskilling, reskilling programs and executive and this short-term programs you're trying to create? And there are a bunch of them. There's apart from MOOCs, a lot of these large corporations are trying to expand their talent pool, trying to expand, to tap into talent resources apart from formal education, apart from universities. If we could elaborate on this, Sergey, and also, of course, your personal recommendations, your personal picks on top skills that make things happen. Sergey? Are you with us, Sergey? Could you...
Sorry, I was with.
Right, sorry.
Thank you, Stas. I agree. It's a very interesting topic, and I will start with personal touch on this. I'm a father of 3 kids, 10, 13, and 16, And I do have questions about education. Looks like nobody knows how education should be developed, and we as parents are running around discussing with each other, trying schools, trying this educational concepts, and looks like that we are on the edge of something very interesting will happen to education. And in short, as far as I understand, standard educational system was very much focused on discipline, and current environment, current culture, current way of people, how people communicate, how global we are. We face that discipline is not enough to work together. We need to be creative, we need to be inclusive, we need to be diverse, we need to be humble in understanding each other, we need to be smart enough and wise enough to agree with each other. So looks like these new skills will be necessary, and new institutions we will encounter new institutions. In Microsoft, yeah, you're right, we have huge amount of programs and institutions for learning, education, and learning is one of main part of culture in our company, and we open huge amount of our resources to the society, so that society can learn a lot and learn what they want. I think I will start from this topic John told about the passion, because we have three management leadership principles, and passion is one of them. But first is making clarity, and then energy, which is very much like passion, and then deliver success. So you need to be clear in your goals, you need to create passion or energy, like John said, and then you need to deliver success, which I think is about reinvention. So if you deliver success, if it's good, you can go to the other cycle. If you're not, then you need to reinvent yourself and go this cycle from the beginning. But I will stop at this first point about clarity, making clarity. I think that this quality, this skill will be very important, is important today, and will be important in future. And in order to create clarity, you need to work on yourself, and you also need to work on how you communicate. And I think that in this term, in this context, new skills that people will need to develop, they will need to focus more and more on words, on language, on culture. Continue to learn your language, your culture, continue to learn how to communicate, continue to learn how to be inclusive, how to create safe environment, so that diverse clusters of people can enter this inclusive environment, and how thrive together. And also another important skill while communicating and developing and learning is instruments, technology, how we do it. In this context, it's very important to understand how to be secure and how to be safe using these instruments, and how to use these instruments in always on mode. As John said, you need to learn all your life. And I will finish with one question. Sayasat, do you know, or maybe my colleagues, do you know what school means in education? School, or in Russian, школа. Yeah, school is coming from Greek word skole, which is about free time, which is which is kind of paradox. Yes, so school, when you ask student what is school and tell that school is free time, it's not a simple idea. So I think that also we need to learn, and we need to help our children learn how to work with our free time. We having more free time, and the way how will we spend our free time will define ourselves. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Sergey. You actually touched a very interesting skill of some sort, you know, the energy, managing, maintaining your energy. A lot of companies, including my company, is now facing a huge problem of burning out. When switching to remote work or introducing hybrid work, I've seen that best of the best, my best employees are just burning out, and their knowledge and experience and talents are of no use to company because he just have some sorts of problem of managing his energy levels, keeping his motivation. And that's becoming a huge problem. We had a problem here in Kazakhstan and in many countries of the world, in fact, with teachers, Sergey, when they were, we had this abrupt, non-prepared switch to the distant education. A lot of these teachers were fatigued, were exhausted because spending hours and hours in your Zoom, and there are all sorts of psychological issues that kick in. So now we had to introduce some sort of a upskilling program for, you know, managing your energy levels, right? So that's, and there's on a side note, the CEO, the chief executive officer, has a new connotation now, chief energy officer, someone who keeps the energy in his people, who motivates, who supplies the energy, who keeps up the energy, who's the one who keeps the company energy level at certain steady course, right? So thank you, Sergey, thank you. And we'll get back to the question of the school just a little bit later, because I want to give the floor to Katharina SCHAFER. She's head of the Global University Alliances at SAP. So Katharina, you've been managing SAP's university partnership, academic partnerships for over 4 years now. You know, you see how education is transforming, and industry has crucial role in shaping the demands, new demands for skills, because the formal schooling system, and Sergey is absolutely right, that the key issue we have to ask ourselves, how the education system should be reformed to meet this new supply, to meet these new demands, to meet this new changing, rapidly, radically changing landscape of labor market, when we have all kinds of new skills and jobs that emerge, that all jobs are going out of business, retiring jobs, retiring skills. So that there should be some fundamental change in education system. So coming from your duty as at SAP, coming from your personal experience, which skills, which new fundamentals, new principles should the new schooling system, education system should be based to better meet the changing demands of the industries?
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, first of all, thank you also for having me here today. Great conference. Kudos to you. And I will say this chief energy officer. I like this phrase. I will tell our chief energy officer. He will love that for sure. Yeah, I'm now in that role actually for 1.5 years. Before, I'm an aerospace engineer from a background here. And here you already see, I came from the research side, moved to industry, started, in the aerospace engineering part, and now took over the University Alliances part. And that's about reinventing. Yeah, I really would like to echo it. And I think you will be always successful if you have passion. If you're passionate about your task, then you will for sure succeed. And I would like to include one more part, and I think that's also part of the reinvention thing. We at SAP, we say it's about lifelong learning. learning will never stop. I mean, when I was at the university, I thought when I have my diploma, you know, check, and then I'm skilled for the future, perhaps here and then small trainings, depending on a new task. But to be very honest, I mean, what was I taught? I was taught how to learn, and the new technologies, you know, and our ecosystem, SAP, is the world leader in enterprise application software, and we have more than 400,000 customers. In Kazakhstan, we have even 100 big customers that are, you know, using SAP as their data backbone. And we have 20,000 partners worldwide, and they are all desperately need talent, and they need digital skilled talent. But as already said, it's not only about the digital skills, it's also about the mindset. It's about so many soft skills that are so important. I think most of you know the prediction of the World Economic Forum, right? Where there will 100 million of new jobs arising until 2025, with data analysts needed, digital transformation specialists needed. But there will also be a decrease in certain jobs, the jobs with repetitive tasks. But this is a great thing, because these are the tasks I think nearly nobody wants to do, right? So AI will leave us with the tasks with where we need creativity, where we need strategic thinking. And we have to, you said it, it's now due to the pandemic, it's this remote work, it's really another way of working, and we have to get used to it. And the young people, you know, when you start a job purely remote, that is so different if you start a job, you know, coming into the office, meeting people at the coffee corner. So you have to think about new ways how to create your network, because a network is really, it's crucial to do your task. And also, so it's in my opinion, and we really foster that at SAP, lifelong learning. We have several programs for our customers, for our partners, to upskill their employees. But we also look for the, you know, future workforce. We have the program that I'm leading, the University Alliances program and the Young Thinkers program. We want to start very soon already at the schools, and also here schools love that free time. I mean, to be honest, look at the kindergarten, look at now the new offices, they foster creativity. And when you look at the university, you're still sitting there watching someone, you know, talking about something, a very specific discipline. I think that's not how the future of education should look like. It's more, you can, at home, you can skill yourself with the, you know, discipline skills, with the digital skills that you need. But when you come to university, when you come to the office, you want to communicate, you want to interact, you want to brainstorm, you want to be creative. And yeah, this is something that we already do together with our educational partners. We, for example, partner together with TUMO, which is the creativity center in Armenia, and they even have now, and I'm really excited about that, have a center now in Berlin, so also in Germany. Our Angela Merkel went there, and she was really passionate about this way of learning, and we partner with them. And what we want to provide is formats where we, you know, combine the learning of technology, providing our technology as well as open source, and giving the students, the pupils, real world challenges from customers of us. And then, you know, also include some design thinking methodology, think at a certain task in a very different way. This is how we do it as well at SAP. And that is what we want like to introduce to the students. And we have, for example, an SAP Next Gen Lab in Kazakhstan at the university in Almaty, where we specifically do these kind of things, do these projects with regional partners, with regional customers. And and so I really hope that this will transform. My kids are very small now, they're 1.5 and 4, so not in the school yet, but I'm also a little bit afraid, how will this school look like? I think there has to be a shift. Not only there is a shift in digital skills, there has to be a shift in the educational way we do in the schools and in the university. It's more really coming together here and foster the creativity. And that then, you know, the education should be a front runner, to be honest. And now I see in industry, sometimes we are the front runner. I mean, our offices, they look like more asset fostering creativity. And so I think curiosity and lifelong learning are really major skills you should have.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Katharina. Rocket science, aerospace engineering, you are truly intelligence and beauty combined. And you were pointed out, you focused on a very important issue. We have about 7 minutes left. So I'm going to run this really short. John, and I'm addressing all the speakers, you have 2 minutes to identify several key characteristics of new education system that should unfold in order to keep up with the pace of innovation and change. And hard skills, we're kind of forgetting about hard skills. We're talking, all of the speakers talked about soft skills, but name one hard skill that you think is crucial for the time being. John?
Okay, so hard skill, obviously, go learn Python. If you're not learning Python, you're not watching what's going on. Become a data scientist. You know, these people from SAP, Microsoft, Amazon, Google will hire you, pay you wonderful money, but you don't want to be a salaried person. You don't want to get a job. You want to make an impact. You want to create a startup. You want to change the world. Dream big. Life is too short for small dreams. Okay, if your dreams aren't big, what's the point? And in my country, basically from the earliest age, kids are a bit thrown into kindergarten where we don't have clean and organized play. We throw, literally a junk in the yard of a kindergarten, old microwave ovens and old electronics, and the kids basically play with junk and create stuff. Okay, we let kids run free. Okay, in my country, it's very undisciplined. Israelis don't salute, they don't march, they don't take orders. Okay, and that kind of freedom results in a lot of creativity and a lot of startups. You will not learn everything in school. You will learn in informal and extracurricular, whether it's in scouting or the army or in all kinds of ways, but get out there and dream big.
Well, thank you, John. The culture of mistake is important. Making mistakes and learning from them and making these mistakes over and over and keeping and progressing, that's very important part of education. I noted. Sergey, Microsoft is big on education. You're doing tremendous jobs helping governments all over, tackling the education issues. Name at least 1 or 2 key characteristics you think that the education system should focus on. Sergey. Yes, he does.
I think that as we see it, hybrid, we see hybrid world of work. And as a company and working with our customers and partners, we see that hybrid world of work is here and it will stay with us. And 70% of people want hybrid regime of work to stay. But we have also some paradox that 70% want to stay with some agile way of work, and at the same time 70% of people want to be more close to their colleagues and to their teams. So this hybrid work paradox, it's very interesting thing, and the future technology it's a call for technology to solve this paradox, because technology, as very close to magic, is solving this paradox. We already living in a world where time is not as important, distance disappeared. We talking together from different points of the world, and and this technology is instruments, and having open mind to understand what is possible and not be limited with paradox. Go through mistakes, understand that whole science is based on falsification principles, and understand better science, understand better ourselves, be open-minded, don't be afraid of things. These kind of skills will be important to in ourselves and in our close ones, in our children. We need to nurture this. Thanks.
Thank you, Sergey. Well, Katharina, you started it all with the school, getting back to school system, to education system. In the remaining 2 minutes, can you please describe in your own words the ideal school as you see it?
I loved the phrase of school is free time. Yeah, I think what we have is a problem we see here and now with the remote work, with the home office. I mean, we are at SAP 100% for flex work. You know, we have implemented a flex work model. You can work wherever you want, whenever you want. It's trust-based. I mean, it has to be aligned with the business needs, but you have to, you know, you're responsible for your free time. So you have to work out how you do your work and how you manage your private work and your business work. And this can be very tiring. And that's the same with the school and with the university. As I said, you come to that places, you come to office to meet the people, not to sit in front of your desk, because that you can do at home. And that's the same with school. You can learn from a book, yeah, you can do that at home. But coming to school, there should be projects, there should be industry projects. And yeah, and that is really something I would like to motivate everybody to do more project-based work with value. Also social projects, can it be, it doesn't need to be industry projects. And I think that will make a change then.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions coming from our audience. Just need to check it online. Just give me 1 second. Oh, here we go. Just raise your hand and just speak out loud. Можно на русском, я переведу, ничего страшного. Говорите вопрос ваш.
How to find a job in the current market?
That's pretty straightforward question, you know. Speakers, any recommendations? How to find a job on current job market?
It depends what your skills, what you're trained to do. If you are a programmer or a technical person with technical skills, you will have an easy time either finding a in-person job in the centers of technology, like my country, Israel, or in Silicon Valley. But most importantly, you can do it online today. In other words, everybody will hire you working remotely. And there are many sites that do that. Even if you are not technically skilled, but you have good communication and analytical skills, you studied liberal arts, there are many technology companies like SAP and Microsoft and others that are training people and looking for smart people. But what I would do is make sure you spend some time on your resume, get it to look good, okay, and do a little research about where you live and who's hiring, and then send out your resume and make sure that you do a good interview, and good luck to you.
And perhaps to add one thing, you don't have to meet all the job requirements that are listed. Yeah, you really be self-confident and yeah, inform yourself about the company, but then reach out. If you think that's the right job for you, then you will have the passion for it. And then, you know, then yeah, with the right resume, with the right interview, you will probably get that. And don't yeah, limit yourself to your country. That's the thing about the pandemic, really, it's remote working. So the world is open to you. So yeah, have a look. I think there are, especially in IT, there are lots of jobs out there, and we are looking for talents.
Thank you. Sergey, if you have anything to add, there's another question, which is addressed to John, to you. Being resilient and thinking outside the box How do these things relate? Aren't they contradicting? Because being resilient, it's about sturdiness, it's just keeping things tight, right? And thinking out of the box, there's more flexibility. Don't they contradict?
No, not at all. In fact, if you've ever seen a tree in a storm, the tree that actually bends, okay, that is a tree that will survive. The tree that is tied down will snap. Okay, in order to be resilient, you don't have to be, standing against the wind. You have to be smart. You have to understand what the forces are against you and how to go around them. It's not, brute force of will. It is the ability to duck, to move, to hide for a second, and then move forward. Okay, and I really, in fact, believe that creativity and reinvention and the ability to absorb change is, key to resilience, right? Resilience is about things have changed on me. All of a sudden, things are different and maybe for the worse. How am I going to get up? And it's not, I'm just going to grit it and suffer. I don't like suffering. Okay, I don't believe that that's, something we should endure. I want to figure out a way to move forward and to get better.
Thank you, John. Well, we have to conclude. Our time is up. We have to give floor to another session. But it was a great pleasure to be talking to you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your experience, your giving advice to the young audiences here in Kazakhstan, and hopefully SAP and Microsoft are already in Kazakhstan, but your platform, John, it's more than welcomed in Kazakhstan. So let's be in touch.
Please do. we just signed a deal with the Azeris, with the Azerbaijan government, and Kazakhstan is next. So we look forward to it.
We are next in line. Well, thank you very much. Have a great weekend ahead of us. And we wish you all the joy and happiness in the world. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for having us.